Hey guys, it's Ahmer here. So today I wanted to talk about 10 more of my rare and expensive video games in my game collection. Now this is actually the third video in the entire series that I just started on my rare and expensive games in my collection, and today you'll notice that we do have a couple honorable mentions as well. Now these games do not go for crazy amounts of money, but these are just some of the ones in my own collection. So after I filmed the last couple videos, I realized that I was missing quite a few games to go ahead and talk about. So let's go ahead and check these out. So first up, we actually have this Fire Emblem Path of Radiance game for the Nintendo Gamecube. So I'll go ahead and leave the links to the previous two videos below in the description, so you can check out that video where I went ahead and talked about Cube OHare as one of my most rare and expensive games in my Gamecube collection. Now this one I actually picked up the same time that I picked up Cube OHare, and I got them for less than half each. So this game is pretty awesome. It's actually a really great game, and this whole series is just great. And I even have that pretty awesome countertop standee as well for this game, so I knew I had to add it to the collection, as this is one that I definitely played back in the day, and it's been quite some time since I replayed it. So this is one that often goes for over $100, and this is just a really great game to add to the collection, especially if you could find it for a decent amount. And then we move on to this game. So this is actually Smurfs Save the Day, and this is a kid vid talking video game cartridge, and it even says right here, for use with the Atari 2600 VCS and compatible systems, and it even says Coleco on it. So you may be thinking, how in the world is this game more so rare or expensive? Well, not necessarily the cart. This is one of those a little bit more expensive games if you're collecting any of these Atari or ColecoVision or television style games. This one still holds its price just a tad because of these actual tapes right here. So these actually go along with this cart, and we have cassette 1, 2, and 3. These are all Smurfs Save the Day sound story cassette number 1, 2, and 3. And the crazy thing is I actually found these local, and I found these for just a few cents each. These were on this table where they didn't know what to do with all of this stuff, so they just marked it 5 for $1. So I actually got these and probably a PlayStation 2 game for just $1. So this is just insane, as I've seen this whole set, just the game cart and these, on eBay sell for over $100 and some, and especially if you can get that kid vid talking system that attaches and you have these games, it goes for several $100s. So this is just a crazy and weird game that I came across in my collection that I figured I would include in this video, as this is just insane. But it's a really neat piece to have, as it's not very often that you even find these tapes anymore, especially for this system. So they all actually have these stickers on here that talk about everything included on this front label part. So this is just a crazy pickup that I've had over the years, and for good reasons. It's a quite expensive game. And then next up, we had to add some TurboGrafx-16 love. So here we actually have this complete copy of Splatterhouse. So this is such a great horror style game. It's really a lot of fun, and I love playing it on the TurboGrafx. So of course right here we have this game box. It even says the horrifying theme of this game may be inappropriate for young children and cowards. So they really went with this marketing scheme on here. So here it's in this blood, but you'll notice in the game there's tons of this green slime and blood. So this is just a really great game and I love playing it every single time that I do. I found this game local, along with Bonk's Adventure and Bonk's Revenge. So this one is just a classic, and it's just a really great title. And then next up, we actually have some CD-based games. So this is a pretty odd title, but this one still holds its value today. So this one, unfortunately, I did not have complete in the long box. We have this Plumbers Don't Wear Ties. So this is for the Panasonic 3DO, and this is just one of those rather oddball titles for the system. So on the front cover here, we show this female who's kind of wearing this risky style clothing, and then we have this other character. This is just a very bizarre game, but of course it went along with the time with some of the other crazy games that they made at that time. So on here, it has some crazy pictures of some of these models, as they call them, and actresses, and this is just a very bizarre game, so I had to add it to the collection. If you know anything about this game, you'll kind of know why I'm talking about it like this. So this is another great one to have in the collection, just for that weird aspect. And then on to this PlayStation game. So this one is actually a Japanese exclusive game. So of course you recognize this guy on front. This is Pepsi Man. So this is a Pepsi game, but it actually really plays pretty well, and this is a really fun game. So of course we have all of this advertisement in here for Pepsi. It says same great taste on the cans. It even has this little spine art on here, and this is just a really great and fun game. It kind of reminds me of one of those like Temple Runner style games where you're just constantly running. You have to pick up these Pepsi cans, and this is just a really fun and challenging game. I'll have to get some gameplay of it, especially on my PlayStation 1 Pepsi kiosk, so that would be pretty cool. On the back here just shows the Pepsi Man running, and he's picking up some Pepsi along the way, trying not to get crushed by cans and picking up these bottles. So it's just a really fun game. And then on the back here it even says this Pepsi Cola is a registered trademark, and it has this little seal on the back. So this is just an oddball title, but for some reason it still holds up its value today, and it's actually a lot of fun. So on to a title that I didn't actually find complete in box. I found it in this crappy GameStop case. So this is for the Nintendo Wii, and when I bought this at the time it was less than $30 because they were running a sale. And this is a great game. I still have not played it, but I was told that I had to buy this game because it's just a great title. This is Dokapon Kingdom. So this is a really great game by Atlas, and for some reason this disc is very expensive by itself, and trying to get this game complete in the box is just even more crazy. So I had to add this one to the game collection. I'd like to upgrade the case because I have this crappy Wii case with it, but this is a game that I was told I had to play. It's a lot of fun. So if you know anything about this game, go ahead and drop some comments down below and just let me know why I need to play this game and what's so special about it. And then on to some of these Sega games. So here, of course, many of the Sega Saturn games are very expensive to go ahead and collect a full library of Sega Saturn games. I'm lucky enough that I have a lot of the games that I used to play at my cousin's house when I was younger. So luckily I didn't pay a bunch of money for a lot of those titles. And this title in particular, I actually picked up when it was less than half the price that it is now. So this game is one that often goes for around $100, maybe a little bit more or less depending on the deal that you get. But this is one that I'm often asked about, as a lot of people used to see it in my backdrop. So this is Enemy Zero, and it says your worst enemy is the one you cannot see. So this is one of those horror-esque style game. So I really haven't played this game, but it has several discs in here. So this is just one that it's hard to find 100% complete. And there are, it says right here, Enemy 0, Disc 0. You have Disc 1, Disc 2, Disc 3. So this is just a crazy game to try and find out in the wild. And a great one to add to the collection. I'll definitely have to get some gameplay on here. And then on to another Sega Saturn game. We have this wacky title called 3 Dirty Dwarfs. So it says, these guys don't mind playing dirty, they live for it. So it has these wacky creatures on here. It says loads of character, completely distinctive graphic style, and looks gorgeous and plays extremely well. Even the loading screen is cool. So right here it says that you smash your enemies, smash your friends. That's the life of a dirty dwarf. Play dirty. It says 15 levels of non-stop bashing action, and you can rotate between the dwarves, and you could do multiple attacks. So this just looks like a crazy destruction style game. I still have not played this one, but this one goes for over $100 and some. And I actually found this one out of state when I was on vacation. So this is another great title for the Sega Saturn. And then on to this copy of the Sega CD style game. So here we have this Final Fight CD. So I love playing the Final Fight series. There's so many great fun games in that. This is Final Fight punches its way onto Sega CD. So here we have a lot of the same characters. It says 6 brutal levels of street fighting, head trauma, and shattered rib cages. And you can choose from 3 characters for 1 or 2 player bone busting action, arcade quality music, and sound effects. So this one, for some reason, probably because it's in this box as opposed to a case, it's probably a little bit more difficult to find in really great shape. That's why I have this protective cover on it. So we have this pretty cool game that I've seen sell for over $100, as long as it's in very great shape. Comes with the manual and everything. So the game's in there and the manual just looks the same as on this box. It actually looks really clean. I didn't realize it was that clean. So most of the time you'll see these boxes, they'll be all busted up. They'll have tons of creases in them. So this is just another one to be on the lookout for. I actually found it about an hour away from me, and it was in their showcase, but they didn't want very much for it. So I decided to pick it on up, and I'd figure it out later. And of course you can't have a video without some Nintendo games, as they are all very expensive to collect for. So here we have Bucky OHare for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So this NES game is one that sells for over $100 and some. This is one that I could not find for the longest time. I literally spent so much time looking for this game, trying to find a great deal, and I decided to keep this little sticker on here as a reminder. So this must have been at one of those old-time video stores, and they would put one of these "Be Kind, Please Rewind" stickers on pretty much everything. So I thought it was pretty crazy, because how do you rewind an NES game? So this one is just a really fun and great style game. This is really a great cartoony style game, and it just has a lot going on in it. The gameplay is just amazing, and I highly recommend this game. But this one is one that you'll spend over $100 on. It's not quite as expensive as the Jetsons or DuckTales 2, but it still had to be mentioned in this video. And then on to some Super Nintendo games. So these ones, of course, are not as expensive as my Earthbound complete in the box or even Hagane, but this Pocky and Rocky game is one that you don't find very often. This is such a great style game. It really is a lot of fun to play, and it still goes for over $100 and some, especially if you try and find Pocky and Rocky 2. You're going to be paying a lot more than that for it. So this one I was lucky enough to find and add to my collection. So this is another great game. And then even this Sonic Blast Man 2. So I don't actually have the first game, but this second one, when I picked it up, it was just under $100. And now these ones actually go for over $100. So this is another weird title that I didn't realize that I had in my collection. It's definitely not the most expensive title, but it's still up there in my personal collection. And then on to these last two games. So these are some more Nintendo 64 games. You may have seen in the first video, I did one on my Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut, because that is one of the most expensive games for the Nintendo 64. And then of course I did Super Bowling, as that is the next expensive. And then these two games right here. So first we'll start out with Stunt Racer. So this one is Stunt Racer 64. This one also goes for over $100. This is one that's a little bit more challenging to find in a collection, and this one took me quite some time to actually find it. I think it was one of the last ones that I found to go ahead and complete my whole set of Nintendo 64 carts. So this one is such a great game to add to the collection, just because it's one that's a little bit more expensive and one that is sought after for those who are trying to complete a full set of games. And then on to this game. So here we have Worms Armageddon for the Nintendo 64. This one is also over $100 to add to the game collection. And this one, I think I had to order this one online because I could not find it to save my life in any stores. It definitely took a while to find, and usually you find these with some label damage and they're just torn all up. So this one to find in very great shape was definitely crazy, and I'm glad that I added it to the game collection. So overall, there are some more expensive games here, and some of these are just some great games to have in the game collection. A lot of these are just so much fun. Some of these are so bizarre and just such odd titles that you definitely don't come across every day. So when I found them for the deals that I did, I knew I had to add them to the game collection. And then just going over some of these game prices is just insane, as they are continuously going up in price and just creating this crazy rarity among all of these games. So go ahead and leave some comments below on which games you actually found interesting in this video, which ones are some that you love playing in your collection, and which ones you have never heard anything about. So of course, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out my other videos and stay tuned for more.